You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. till it's perfect.
Gotta want it, gotta need it, only get what you put in. Give me something to believe in, feel the sweat on my skin. Gotta want it, gotta need it, only get what you put in. Give me something to believe in, feel the sweat on my skin. I put the work in, 'cause I'm worth it. And I think I found somebody who deserves it. If you put the work in, you can earn it. You and me together could be perfect. Put the work in, 'cause I'm worth it. And I think I found somebody who deserves it. If you put the work in, you can earn it. Got the kind of body that I wanna put my body on.
Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Turn up the heat and stop till it's perfect. Work it, work it. Work it.
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome, everybody. It is basically the weekend, folks. It is Friday, Friday Junior, folks. Welcome, Bruno, John Lithium, Judgment Free Zone. Welcome to the Woke Polymarket Studios, ready for another live show indeed. Lots of stuff and things are happening. Just a few hours ago, apparently, Pam Bondi got the boot. Pam Bondi has been fired. So we'll talk about that. Bye. You know, Pam Bondi, she didn't handle the Epstein files very, very badly. So poorly. She handled the Epstein files so poorly, you would think that she would be working for Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden. So that is one of the developments here. Yeah, last night's I don't want to say bizarre, because it's kind of normal for the Trump administration, but last night's prime time announcement, besides the meandering delusional nonsense, pretty much the only thing that we gathered from last night is that the war in Iran is not gonna end anytime soon. We've got, at the very least, weeks to go, and it doesn't appear that there is a official end in sight. We just need a couple more weeks, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. Who knows? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 year. Who knows? Sevens, welcome. When they love the boot, so she must be happy. They need a good joke, but what rhymes with Bondi that would fit? Bondi, I don't know. If I think about it, I'll let you know. Alright, folks, let's get started, because today's going to be a slightly shorter stream, because it's basically the weekend, and I gotta get out of here pretty quickly. But there's just there's just quite a few things. It looks like the monitor being used automatically selects the GPU, your monitor? How does that even happen? Oh, well, I guess it depends on, what computer you're using, right? Alright, folks, let's get started. I don't know if I said hello. Judgment Free Zone, welcome. I don't know if I said hello, but just in case I didn't. Let's talk about this. Nadia, welcome. The Carfact has tons of what means everything is going to be shut down tomorrow. Tantamount is crazy. It's like the bloody plot of Kevin Bacon's Footloose. And then there were the requirements for what it took to get out of the Turkish military for being gay, wild stuff. Welcome, Nadia. Moritz, welcome. It's all good. I always feel welcome in your chat when I am here. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you hanging out too. I'm hanging in there, Moritz. My Intel processor has the capability too. Oh, okay, gotcha. I mean, like, is it like an internal graphics card? Because, like, I don't know how these things work exactly. Like, I have, like, a basic concept. But if I told you that I knew what I was doing, I'd be lying. If you have, like, a separate graphics card, right? Like, if it's, like, a built PC, wouldn't you just be plugging into the graphics card? Or is it, like, integrated graphics? In which case, then, yeah. Personally, I don't know how that thing. I don't know how that works. if she becomes an ambassador, you could say Bondi got kicked across the pond. Why would Trump's ego ever let him see any benefits to resigning? I don't think he personally will. The only way this guy is gonna resign if he's convinced that he's accomplished everything that he needed to do for America. And that he's basically like this retiring hero that has done everything possible for the country, and like I don't know, you could probably lie to him enough, or lie to him in a way. There is a path I could see. It's not likely, but I do see a path. The closest I could imagine is somebody behind the scenes blackmailing him into do it. That's also a possibility. That is also a possibility. I'm just curious, what is your opinion about abortion as a leftist? Is that like a serious question? There isn't like opinions about this. There's only like one correct answer. No way Trump resigns. It's the only thing protecting him from further prosecution. Well, if he resigns and let JD Vance kind of if he lets JD Vance just kind of take the wheel, so to speak, maybe. Well, tell me, what are you talking about? The only correct position is the pro-choice position. Like, that is the only objective correct position to have. When it comes to like bodily autonomy and human rights, there is only one position. Why? We're not having this conversation over human rights. This is a silly conversation. What do you mean why? Why wouldn't you want people to have bodily autonomy? That's insane. That is not a conversation. I don't know any leftists against abortion. Right. Like, why would you be against, like, bodily autonomy? Unless you're, like, a fascist.
Thing is going
pro-choice is protecting women's rights, the left-wing position. Correct. Like, that is the only correct position, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you feel like about abortion. Like, actually, like, it doesn't matter what you fundamentally feel or think about abortion. The only correct position is to have the freedom of choice. Well, I find it silly you're speaking about human rights, so I think you kill a fetus that is becoming a baby. So it's not a baby. Thanks for playing. This is stupid. You're stupid. And by Peter Towel putting his no, Peter Towel is the correct spelling. Hand on JD Vance's shoulder and saying, "It's time, my boy. Agree to disagree, acknowledge a view, and move on. It's okay. You don't need to debate this. Glad to know your position, though. You do you. Yeah, but like that's my thing. Like it's just like the objectively incorrect position to have. Did you know a heartbeat starts within the first 55? Dude, I don't give a flying fuck. Which is not biologically true, by the way. What you're talking about is not an actual heartbeat. The fetal heartbeat, the fetal heartbeat that you're talking about is not like actually like a real heartbeat. No, you're just insane. Why are you here, dude? Get the fuck out of here. I don't try to reason with views people have, and I'm glad to be in the community of those who are in my kindness, like-mindedness, or on any issues. Leftists tend to believe people should be able to cancel pregnancies they don't want. True. Like, seriously. I just want to have debate, don't worry. No, there's no debating human rights. Get the fuck out of here. Debating a person's right to bodily autonomy? That isn't up for debate. We're not having that debate. Fuck off.
Very horribly for Donald Trump. His approval rating on every single issue is underwater, most of them by double
That's
digits.
Rude. You're rude.
And of course
You're rude for thinking that you have like the audacity to argue against like bodily autonomy is rude and disgusting. And you're having like the audacity to say, well, he's being a little bit rude to me. Get out of here. Ladybug, welcome.
approval rating in the latest polling from University of Massachusetts Amherst has him at 33% approval.
I just want to take away bodily autonomy for half of the population, right? But why are you so rude? God. I just want to eliminate bodily autonomy for half the population. Why are you so rude? Why are you so angry about that? For the sake of argument, since life is carbon-based, maybe we shouldn't burn coal. I mean... we shouldn't.
His war in Iran is grotesquely unpopular. Gas prices are soaring. Inflation is still well above target. Americans can't afford food or pharmaceuticals. Everything is going to hell. And according to legal analyst Michael Popok from he's actually the founder of the Legal AF podcast, he said this week that maybe, just maybe, everything is going bad enough for Trump that he may leave office early. Here's what Popok said. You would think he's doing this on purpose to go home early. If you lose big time at the midterms and then just come up with some health excuse or other excuse to go home early, this does not look like a person who wants to continue to succeed as president.
Well, no, I think he wants to just stay out of jail. I think that's what he wants. He wants to stay out of jail. Looney Tunes, welcome. Bro called me a fascist. Yes, it is fascist to try to take away bodily autonomy to people and told you to fuck off. Yes, I generally tell people to fuck off when you start talking about when you start debating people's rights. I don't give a shit if you're rude or not, right? Like some of the most like horrible human beings aren't rude, right? Like by definition. I gave you some arguments. Your arguments are shit. And they're not based on actual biology, but thanks for playing. So, yeah, like, oh, I just want to be respectful. No, you're not. Fuck off, dude. Seriously. Fuck off.
Now, here's the thing. I agree with most of that, and I don't think that Popok really thinks that, Trump is going to resign, but it is not out of the realm of possibility, of course. That is a thing that could.
That's actually crazy. No, it's not. It's actually pretty reasonable. It's actually pretty reasonable. Don't worry, I got you. Trying to debate fucking bodily autonomy.
Would theoretically happen.
Stupid fuck.
Because it's a thing that is able to happen, not because it's a thing that will probably happen. So, will Trump make it to the end of his term on his own terms? The public does think that he will. However,
Staying out of jail is the only thing he cares about, even if it means to become the new Hitler in the history books. Watch George Carlin on abortion to see how ridiculous the stance is. Yeah, like, it's completely divorced from reality. Like, if you actually want to debate, like, the science, because it's so stupid to have to sit here and explain to someone who has absolutely no fucking idea about, like, basic biology and try to explain to them how a fetal heartbeat isn't actually a heartbeat, because that's not how they develop in 5 to 6 weeks. It's insane. It's insane. I'm not gonna sit here and try to have that conversation. Go fucking, like, study. Go open a fucking book. Don't worry, woke, a difficult truth is just another loser. Loser. ADT is such a loser, you know, he should be cancelled immediately. So many people have been saying, Sir, please cancel ADT.
if you look at the odds markets right here on Kalshi, okay, the number of people who think that Donald Trump will resign before his term ends has actually gone up. It's gone up 3.4 points. It's still, right around.
Oh shoot! Wait, hold on. If we're betting on this, if we're betting on this, that might. Are we actually having like a bet? What's the poly market over under on this? The guy doesn't even care if the woman's life is in danger if she was raped. Nope, doesn't give a shit. Yeah, we'll do anything for the unborn, but once you're born, you're on your own.
20-ish%. So only about a fifth of the country thinks he'll resign. However, it has gone up. So even though most of the public does agree, no, the guy is never going to resign, that would be an admission of failure, the number of people who think it could happen is climbing. So let's talk about it. Could Donald Trump resign? Would Donald Trump resign? Personally, I don't think so. But we are looking at a man who, even with full Republican control of the United States of America, has still failed at everything. He has hired the most incompetent human beings.
Parents been on fire since he left Ring of Fire. Oh yeah, I feel like it's the same trolls with different names, maybe. But like honestly, if I'm being honest, if I'm being honest, Ladybug, like all of these like MAGA people, they're all like the same. Okay, like all these MAGA people, they all talk the same because they're all like this hive mind of in the cult, right? Like they all talk the same, they all sound the same, they all say the same things, because they're literally just like a part of a MAGA fascist hive mind. That's why they all look the same. It's like that's why I feel like that's probably why you may feel that way, but make no mistake about it, like it's literally like they all just sound the same because they all have the same talking points. I feel like if you pay him enough, he'll resign. Maybe.
Existence, possibly. And they have failed at every turn. He is not able to prosecute his political enemies. He is not able to do all the horrible
things. That Trump impersonation was to roast the hell out of that troll? Yeah, exactly.
He wants to do, because even Republican,
if they're gonna be here, at least make them content, right? At least make them into content, right? At least make this the entertaining portion of the show, right?
Appointed judge, even Trump-appointed judges are striking him down. The Supreme Court every now and then throws him a bone, but then throws him a massive curveball.
Do they come from the same Pakistan MAGA troll farm? Who knows? Like these people, it's so funny because like these people, or Serbia, they all sound like, but like if you talk to a real like MAGA person, they sound just like that. They literally do. They sound just, they sound just like that. All of them are taking the same marching orders from the same place because they're all listening to the same people in this like, circle, in this like circle, circular podcast / media black hole of just MAGA cultism, right? They all get the same marching orders. So yeah, I've he's got the real locations on X. I remember that. I remember that. But yeah, if you really talk to like an actual real live a real live MAGA person, they literally all talk like that. They all have the same stupid talking points, and they all say the same things. They're the ones actually getting paid. Yeah.
And then the midterms coming up in November. That's not going to bode well for Donald Trump or the Republican Party at all. It is going to be horrific for them, and they know it. So, come January...
Like, you know the thing, you know the conversation was going to get good when they come in here asking what as a leftist, what the position is on abortion as a leftist. What are you talking about? There's only one good position. There's only one correct position, and that is to like leave people the F alone, right? Like, again, abortion is fundamentally about bodily autonomy, okay? Everyone has the right to self-determination. You get to choose what you do with your body so long as it doesn't affect others. And you are not entitled to anyone's body. A concept that Republicans and conservatives have a problem understanding.
Next year when
Max
the new
left.
Democratic control...
Yeah, the max left. We need the max left position on abortion, right? We need to know that one.
Congress is sworn in, Trump will be a lame duck. He's not going to get any legislation that he wants.
Good.
So he can sit there for 2 years driving up his blood pressure,
I mean,
having
whatever.
meltdowns on a daily basis on Truth Social, which is already...
And make sure that while his blood pressure is rising, that he gets a constant supply of Filet-O-Fishes, okay? Like that is, I think that is a vital important piece there. If his blood pressure is going to be skyrocketing all day, it is imperative that the aides continue to bring him a constant flow of Filet-O-Fishes. Only if you're a right-wing conservative you can be anti-abortion. Even social democrats and liberal centrists are pro-choice. Yeah, they're on the principle of bodily autonomy, right? Like that's pretty much the core concept. He's gonna be so sad not to name it the Strait of Trump.
already doing. And hating life. Or he can slip out early. I don't think it'll happen, but at the same time, it's one of those things where if it did happen, it wouldn't be all that shocking when you look at the data. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.
So I guess, the only thing that I could see if Trump actually decides to resign is, if he knows he's so cooked that he's just gonna, try to, leave, right? As a last resort. Someone pointed out that it could be like a bribe, or not bribe, they could threaten him. They could threaten him with compromise. I don't know. Maybe he can be convinced by the likes of JD Vance or whatever, or whoever's around him feeding him whatever the heck that he's done, that his time is as president has been phenomenal, and that the only thing that's left is for him to leave on a high note. You know what I mean? You could probably, I could see a scenario where they can glaze him into resigning, right? I mean, the guy's not all there in the head either, right? I could see a perfectly easy way, I could see a perfectly easy, path that, he could just be glazed into resigning, saying, we might as well leave on a high note. You've done so much for this country, Mr. President, sir. That I think it's time that you enjoy and step down and continue and leave the MAGA movement, or leave the MAGA movement in the hands of JD Vance, right? Which obviously is the intended purpose, right? That's why he's there. right? Like I could see that. You could just you could probably convince him, glaze him into resigning. You know what I mean? How many McDonald's does Trump eat daily? As much as he wants, in my opinion. You only resign if you want this VC, which I do support at this point. I support any means to get that clown removed. Yeah, the problem is like the problem being is that like if he steps down tomorrow, right? If he steps down today, like this very second, we would have to be dealing with JD Vance, right? And that is someone that I do not, I do not want to be dealing with. If I'm being perfectly honest. Really, like what needs to happen is like this entire administration needs to be booted out. This entire administration needs to be booted out and be tried. And be tried. It's just no going around that. There's just no way where we move forward. I know I've said this like ad nauseum at this point. I've said this like over and over and over again, but there is no scenario in the future where we move forward without there being some kind of accountability, right? Mass accountability. I'm talking about people actually going to jail from top to bottom, right? I don't care if Trump's like, 2 seconds away from croaking because he's so old and decrepit. I don't care. All of those people from Trump on down that were involved in criminal activity and undermining democracy by illegal means should be arrested and tried. All of them, from Trump to JD Vance to Stephen Miller, to Steve Bannon. I mean, he himself admitted, he's like, hey man, look, if we lose, I'm cooked, and a lot of you in this room are cooked too. So yeah, it's like it's gonna have to be like that. I'm talking like massive trials, right? Like that's what really needs to happen. I don't know if it's gonna happen. The cynic in me says probably not. But if we are to move forward, that's the kind of stuff that would need to happen. Like all of these people, including some Supreme Court justices, looking at you, Clarence Thomas, who are obviously and brazenly corrupt. Like I'm saying, like there needs to be like a top to bottom accountability reckoning. If we are ever to move forward as a country or society. Steve further, there needs to be conventions impaneled a la jury style, statistically random selection to drive a new constitution and new government, entirely because otherwise we have very good reason to think that everything that brought us to this exactly this crisis would continue to operate, just bring us right back around to this exact sort of crisis yet again, sooner or later. Yeah, that's probably a good point, Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that because, like, clearly, something happened, that led us here, and we would be wise to try to prevent that from happening. Again, in a normal and a reasonable society, we would all come to terms with that. But I don't know. The cynic in me says it's probably none of that's gonna happen. All these people are probably gonna skate scot-free. But yeah, that's technically what needs to happen. Like, it's not just Donald Trump being gone. It's everybody that all of those people need to go to jail. All of those people. Criticize China all you want, but officials there from top to bottom go to jail when found to have done corrupt acts. I mean, that's more than I can say for the United States. For the United States, if you do corrupt acts, depending on how you did it, you might even just be president. Yeah, don't blame just one bad guy, blame the system. Yeah, the bad guy is just the bad guy is just a symptom, right? Like, the bad guy is the manifestation of the problems of the system, right? In the sort of world we actually tried to study the results of actions, learn from them, and apply lessons to produce better results, better outcomes. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Pam Bondi was a disaster and failure as my attorney general. I'm firing her ass immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Pam Bondi. That's actually live and not on a waiting screen. Yeah, because it's almost 6 o'clock, so live. I would certainly hope so. I would certainly hope I got my stuff together before 6 o'clock, okay? Look, I run late all the time because of work and whatnot, but if I'm running 6 o'clock late, then yeah, we've got bigger problems. We've got bigger problems if I'm starting stream at 6 o'clock. If Newsom wins, I bet he pardons Trump. Jeez, don't even bring that into existence. Newsom needs to lose in the primary and bigly. If Newsom really is serious about entering the ring in the presidential race, he needs to lose bigly in the primaries. This is experimental results, individualistic, and thus disparate wealth accumulation is distinguished from common or social wealth accumulation equals no democracy. Yep. I get here at 5 p.m. and it usually doesn't start till 6, it feels like. Well, I mean, the first, 20 minutes, maybe the first 30 minutes, are usually, the hanging out part, right? I'm just getting my stuff together. Usually by, 5... If I'm being if I'm being generous, usually about 5:20 is when I start to try to even when we're just doing the reaction part of the stream, I'm just kind of going back and forth with chat. I haven't even gotten to the actual news articles yet. We're just going back and forth. I get to majority report after the ad reads too. You don't stay for the ad reads? Come on, who else? Who doesn't want to stay for the Hello Tushy ads? I'm just afraid the establishment Dems would absolutely not want a president AOC. Oh, 100%. But that's kind of that's kind of what we're there for, right? We in the event that we are presented with the opportunity of a progressive candidate, perhaps someone like AOC, if we that is full steam ahead to try to push there. They're all sponsored by Israel now. I think the Majority Report has done a pretty good job to try to vet as many of their sponsors as possible. In fact, I think when they were called out about when they were called out about one advertiser, I think I forgot, they actually did research on them. I think Sam does a pretty decent job. Brandon wraps up by the time the ad reads end. Yeah, the fun half, that's when the show really starts. We need Jon Stewart to run. I would prefer, look, with all the problems that I have with Jon Stewart, I would prefer him over Gavin Newsom. And that's I know it's picking. I know we're I know we're kind of picking and choosing here, but if I had the option of Jon Stewart or Gavin Newsom, I would probably prefer Jon Stewart over Gavin Newsom. I'm recently reading The Black Shirts and Reds, Rational Fascism and Overthrow of Communism. Oh crap, I didn't have it on me. Damn, that would have been such a that would have been that would have been so funny if I just whipped it out in quick succession, but unfortunately I didn't have it on me. I think it's downstairs. But I do have that book, and I literally just got that book maybe a week ago. Maybe a week ago. Yeah, no, I think it's still downstairs or upstairs. Yeah, I think it was the VPN. I forget what advertiser it was, but anyways, MR has stopped a few over the years for various reasons. Yep. So yeah, I think they definitely do. At least they put effort into try to researching their sponsors. None of these elections permitted by capitals will ever be enough. They're at best loss mitigation efforts. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you shouldn't participate. It just means that understand that it's not just going to be pushing a button and expecting the system to be fixed, right? That's not how that works. I think we'd be disappointed with a Jon Stewart presidency, but he'd be a better pick than a bad candidate like Newsom or Vance. Oh, 100%. Yeah, like I said, we're kind of, you know, I know we're kind of wish casting or playing hypotheticals, but yeah, I would 100% back a Jon Stewart candidacy, or at least I would be more comfortable voting for a Jon Stewart than I would be for like a JD Vance, right? Like obviously. Shopify and ExpressVPN are the two problematic ads I've noticed. I think ExpressVPN's gone, but yeah, I think I haven't heard an ExpressVPN ad in a hot minute. They probably did cancel it, and I think, but Shopify isn't, and they use it on their own site. Really? Well, unfortunately, I don't have. Unfortunately, I didn't see that on their website. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they could find like another host. But yeah, I've been considering switching to Proton VPN. I have Proton VPN, the free version, and it's okay. It's okay. Iolo, welcome. Alright, folks, let's get started. Proton is free on one device, I believe. Yeah, I think it is. There's like a free version. It's got like, it's limited. You don't get to like choose stuff, like the country or whatever. It kind of just like swings you around. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, I use it. Hasn't been giving me that big of problems. But anyways, I use NordVPN at the present because it's included in the plan. Nice. I highly recommend that if you have the option of using a VPN, to do so. Anyways.
Well, we finally have a little bit of positive news. So during a DSA forum in New York City, Representative AOC committed to cut off all funding for Israel entirely, including, and this is key, funding for their Iron Dome. Now, this is significant.
Oh boy. I know that this is like a pretty like low bar, right? Like I'm saying low bar in the sense that like obviously if you're seeing a country committing genocide with your like tax dollars, with your money, your weapons, then like the most rational and obvious thing to do is to like take those weapons away. And the fact that like this is like being seen as like a turning point, right? Because I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot or any like there isn't like big Democratic figures out here like actually saying we should take away funding even for like the Iron Dome, right? I know it's a low bar, but man, is it refreshing. Michael Hasser, too late. VPN will not really do anything if you're on the free plan. I mean, it's useful. It's useful in the sense that like it kind of it gives you some level of operational, right, security. It doesn't like, look, let's all be honest here. If anyone wanted to if anyone wanted to really like find and get your data, they will. But yeah, I mean, if you have a VPN, it's better than not. But yeah, you shouldn't even send them defensive weapons, so you make them stop. Exactly. It's a leverage. Iran is doing a decent job of disabling a few of the Iron Domes. You don't have to disable them, just outlast them. Tucker Carlson beat them to it. I know it's wild times. It's wild times. It's wild times where like just to be clear, like Tucker Carlson isn't like he's not arriving at the correct position because like he has some like innately like human humanitarian cause, but yeah, nonetheless, somehow Tucker Carlson managed to arrive at the correct position faster, or at least as far as one of the more prominent talking heads, political pundits, whatever, faster than like the Democratic Party, which is kind of wild to me. And we all saw the exchange yesterday from Emma Vigeland and the clown on CNN. All VPNs can be broken out of. It's a vulnerability that cannot be fixed. Yeah, I mean, look, as long as I can provide some kind of some layer of protection, even if it's not like 100%, I'm okay with that, you know. Even though he's an anti-Semite, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that Tucker Carlson is arriving at the right position because, like, he's arriving at it from like a humanitarian standpoint, but somehow, he has made it, somehow he has made it to the right position quicker. And one has to wonder, when the supposed correct position is arrived at through non-humanistic principled reasons, how real the commitment truly is. Yeah,
because
I have no doubt about it, but like, nonetheless, somehow he gets to have the high ground on this one, especially when talking to like the more crazy like Christian Zionists, like Mike Huckabee or whatever. Sheesh, that was a rough interview. Like, everyone's these reactionary fucks claim anti-war still invalid, and it's cheap, easy talk, but then the moment they have to political power, wow, clearly all that talk is proven empty bullshit. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. If you want to use McDonald's Wi-Fi safely, a free VPN is more than enough.
Strategist Chris Sosa put it, her commitment could echo across the Democratic Party because she's considered a mainstream politician and a serious contender for president, and he argues that this could now become a litmus test for other 2028 contenders as well.
I hope so, but I don't have... I want this to be the case, but I'm not going to hold my breath, if that makes sense. Like, I want this to be the case. I want this to be a turning point where being pro... This is such a low bar, but being anti-genocide is going to being pro-genocide is going to be seen as radioactive. Okay, being pro-Israel, killing and mass murdering Palestinians is going to be radioactive. I want that to happen. I'm just not keeping my hopes up. But hey, I hope so. I really hope so. I hope that someone like AOC can like turn the corner here, and maybe more Democrats might see might look at the political wins and go, oh yeah pro genocide is bad, actually, sure, I'm always at the random hotels for jobs, number 2, and so many of them have insecure Wi-Fi, even access to card reader, use credit cards at Red Roof. I didn't know if I should report it, so I stayed quiet.
It's important because opportunistic politicians who want to run for president...
Yeah, I usually use my own phone, my own hotspot. I prefer to just connect to my own hotspot thing. That's another way. Plus a VPN. Plus a VPN on the phone. Oof. It's a lot. I think you'll probably be alright. It's not like, unless you're handling like super sensitive information, then you probably want more security, but whatever. Pretty sure I could have done some things if I was a bad actor. Well,
already trying to obscure their complicity with Israel's genocide by creating a special exception for defensive weapons, so that way voters think that they're not necessarily helping Israel perpetuate crimes against humanity. Rather, they're simply giving Israel the capability to defend its own civilians. But that
which should be relegated to Israel. Like, what are you talking about?
Argument is horseshit because Israel already has the ability to do that. Palestinians, on the other hand, do not. Palestinians have rocks. Israelis have tanks, and Israeli civilians have
not just tanks. Like, they have a air force that relentlessly bombs civilians constantly. Using cell data, you don't need a VPN. Is like having cell data more protected? That's actually a genuine question. If you're using like your hotspot, or you using like cell phone data, is that actually safer? Using hotel Wi-Fi also leaves you vulnerable at hotels that allow you to charge things to the room, like food. All they want is last name and roof number, which is what the Wi-Fi wants to log in. Gotcha.
Bomb shelters, whereas Palestinians in Gaza have nowhere to go if and when Israel chooses to carpet bomb them. So giving Israel so-called defensive weapons while they commit a genocide in Palestine and ethnic cleansing in Lebanon would be like giving the Nazis defensive weapons during World War II because you were concerned about German civilians. Like, you can't embolden a regime that is committing atrocities.
Yep.
But that's the expectation from Israel's moral.
It's not a fair fight, like, at all. It's not. It's just a total extermination. It's literally just total extermination. Yeah, just tracks the cell provider. Okay, gotcha. Cell data is encrypted, but the carrier is the ISP, so they see everything if you're not on a VPN. Gotcha. I mean, I don't care. I'm not like doing anything that I would need to like be that incognito. I only get like sketched out with like public Wi-Fi because like, anyone can spoof Wi-Fi or whatever, and then like you're connecting to a Wi-Fi that's actually not a Wi-Fi. That's like nightmare fuel for me. And they can like take over your data. That is nightmare fuel for me. Like to think that you're gonna be like to think that you're gonna be like connected to like a safe to like a store Wi-Fi or like a McDonald's Wi-Fi or a hotel Wi-Fi, and then like it's not. Oof, that's nightmare fuel. Or like you're at an airport, right? Or you're at an airport and you're trying to connect to the airport Wi-Fi and it's not the airport Wi-Fi. Yeah, nightmare fuel. Yeah, other than being a filthy commie, straight to jail. I use encrypted DNS on my mobile. It's free too. I like free. Nice. And yes, and the denial by most people is disturbing. Yep. Because I don't even know if like a lot of Americans are quite actually like fully aware of what's happening. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there denying, actively pushing a genocide denial because they're paid to, they're afraid, I don't know, straight to jail.
Bankrupt defenders who are now accusing AOC of being immoral because of this new stance. For example, Guy Benson of Fox News ironically accused her of racism, writing on Twitter, Iron Dome purely
really easy to do. Your phone also broadcasts all its saved Wi-Fi SSDs all the time. You can read it and create a Wi-Fi with the same name and phone. It will connect to it. That is nightmare fuel. Nightmare fuel for me. The Guy Benson, the Iron Dome purely defensive, saved so many innocent lives, and AOC is now apparently committed to defunding it. Wrong types of lives that system is saving, it seems. Oh dear. Yeah, when you say something, you're the crazy one. Yep. He had a Kasperian position. What do you mean the wrong types of lives? There's no wrong types of lives that need to be saving, dude. That's insane.
Offensive, saved so many innocent lives, and AOC is now apparently committed to defunding it. Wrong types of lives that system is saving, it seems. Right,
It's
definitely
delusional.
a good faith argument by somebody who cares about civilian lives. But I think this is why AOC originally was hesitant
Yeah,
about
that's right, like
taking
what
this
happened to them
position
on
because
CNN.
this cynical response was going
Yep.
to be inevitable from genocide-supporting monsters who are going to try to say anything to get the United States government to materially support a country doing a genocide. If they have the guilt trip politicians into doing it, they're going to do that too. But this argument, regardless of what they say, is complete horseshit. As Dylan Saba argues in an article for Jewish Currents, the Iron Dome cannot meaningfully be considered life-saving in any value system that recognizes Palestinian humanity. And he goes on to quote analyst Nathan Thrall, who adds, in theory, a weapon like Iron Dome could be used only defensively, but in practice, it doesn't work that way. Iron Dome facilitates greater Israeli offensive measures because it lowers the perceived cost to Israel of escalating or extending or initiating attacks. In other words, while the Iron Dome may prevent the deaths of Israeli non-combatants, it has made it easier for Israel to engage in deadly operations that take Palestinian lives. And Saba goes on to argue, rather than preserving space for diplomacy, Iron Dome enables Israel's commitment to the status quo of permanent occupation. Its ultimate function is to entrench an already asymmetrical conflict into a state of ongoing bloodshed, dispossession, and devastation for the Palestinians of Gaza. And therein lies the problem with us funding their Iron Dome. Someone on Twitter described it as giving a school shooter body armor. If you force them to defend themselves, they can't inflict as much damage as they want to. And that's kind of the logic here, right? The goal isn't to let Israeli non-combatants die.
Yeah, this costs billions of dollars. Also, loudest carry, if you can't hit back, I can punch you in the face as many times as I want. Precisely the point. Yes.
To force Israel to defend them, which takes time away from them being aggressive. And if they're less shielded from retaliation, they'll be more apprehensive about bombing every single fucking country in their vicinity with impunity. And even though I think this is pretty obvious, the supposed humanitarians all of a sudden calling AOC a monster, they would never agree to an Iron Dome for Palestinians or people in Lebanon. So let's not pretend like these motherfuckers care about innocent civilians when they enthusiastically support crimes against humanity. But to go back to AOC, she is forcing Democratic presidential hopefuls to contend with the substance of this issue, which is important because up until this point, they've been able to get away with their support for Israel by saying, oh, it's just defensive. No, actually listen to what you're saying and contend with the arguments being made by people who say you should cut this regime off entirely. Now, on top of that,
it sounds to me like the IDF is hiding behind Israeli civilian human shields. Yep. AOC has technically never supported funding the Dome, except the one time she didn't vote for MTG's amendment. She failed to realize the Iron Dome defense is primarily used to block counterattacks. The same West Bank where the Palestinian government has its seat. The body armor analogy is better. It's a pretty good analogy, yes. I would agree.
It also proves that AOC is listening to her constituents, which is great because even though she's been comparatively good on this issue, she still has a lot of blind spots that make her weaker on this issue than, say, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Summer Lee. As Julia Conley of Common Dreams explains, she switched her vote from no to present in a 2021 funding package for Israel's Iron Dome, and she also voted for a resolution that defined criticism of Israel as anti-Semitism, and she later voted against an amendment to defund Israel's Iron Dome, although she did later vote against the entire bill itself. But essentially, she defended her support for defensive weapons of Israel at the time, arguing that, it would add to the death count if Israel's Iron Dome was defunded. And I even criticized her for it at the time because it was an argument that was wrong and it felt like she wasn't listening to her colleagues like Rashida Tlaib and critics of Israel who say you can't fund a regime in any capacity carrying out atrocities. But now I want to give her credit because she's very clearly listening to her critics. And
if it was prior to October 7th, then yes, the Iron Dome was used to protect against homemade urea rockets, not missiles from Gaza. Yeah, but prior to October 7th, prior to October 7th, the problems were still present, right? Israel was still doing pretty bad stuff in Gaza and the West Bank. October 7th didn't happen in a vacuum, right? This stuff has been happening for decades, probably longer than I've been alive. But anyways,
she adapted, which is exactly what you want more politicians to do. So I think this is incredibly significant, one, because her standing in the Democratic Party means that others are going to have to take this position at least more seriously. And two, because Israel is somehow more unhinged than ever before, and cutting them off entirely couldn't be more important. The Knesset just passed a law this week which lets them give the thousands of Palestinian
That's
hostages.
right. It's a self-inflicted problem. Those Gaza rockets are basically counterattacks. Right. Yeah, because of all the atrocities that the Israeli army was doing. Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Is in their custody the death penalty by hanging. And after the law was passed, Ben-Gvir, who was in Netanyahu's government, was popping champagne while him and his buddies were wearing noose pins to celebrate its passage. And it's not like the
that's just insane. Like that is just insane. That is insane. Insane. Like to wear nooses to a vote or to a celebration of a vote where you're like basically saying that this group of people, right? They don't get due process. They just die. Jesus, that is unhinged. October 7th is the culmination, very visibly, of very long historical ongoing forces. Yep.
Gravity here is surprising, seeing as how this regime is committing a genocide after all, but I don't think people truly understand how abhorrent and racist this law is.
Yeah.
Israel outlawed the death penalty decades ago, but
no kidding. Like, what? Yeah, only these group of people, though, right? This NLS, the October 7th, was a natural and inevitable conclusion of the founding of Israel as an ethno-state colony. Yep. Looks like when Trump celebrates the death of his nemesis.
Brought it back now in 2026 specifically for Palestinian hostages, which includes doctors and children. They have thousands of people that they've taken hostage. Media never talks about them, but now those people can be killed by Israel. As former South African politician Andrew Feinstein put it, not even apartheid South Africa codified executions for only one race group. And AJ Plus released this infographic explaining that this law is reminiscent of a barbaric law instituted by British colonizers back in the 1930s so they could sentence more than 100 Palestinians to death for daring to resist their occupation. And AJ Plus goes on to explain that Israel hasn't prosecuted a single Israeli settler since 2020 for killing Palestinians. Meanwhile, Palestinian defendants who are tried in military courts have a 99% conviction rate, which is why Human Rights Watch said that this law is a transparent attempt to kill Palestinian detainees faster and with less scrutiny.
Yeah. Explain to me how that isn't like straight up like unhinged. And we can expect more October 7th forever, whether from Palestine or elsewhere, as long as the imperialism continues. Yep. The death penalty is also highly discouraged in the Talmud. Yeah, but who cares, right? They're Palestinians, you know, they're not technically people, right? Executing minors, children is atrocious. Yep, and that's just like a pretty par for the course in Gaza.
And Ofer Kassif, who is an Israeli member of the Knesset, described this as a genocide law. Full stop.
The law doesn't...
That's unhinged. This is what I said 2 days ago. Yeah. I briefly like read a little bit about it. This is unhinged. Unhinged.
appeal to Jews because those who propose the law believe and say that explicitly that there's no such a thing like Jewish terrorism, and by definition, accordingly,
right,
there's no such a thing like Jewish terrorists.
Right.
That means that Jews a priori are excluded from the appeal of this law. On the other hand, they say, again, explicitly, that all Palestinians are terrorists, if not at present, in potential. The chair of the Interior Committee at the Knesset said explicitly and literally a couple of days ago that there aren't any innocent people in Jenin, nor innocent children in Jenin. That means, again, that all Palestinians are terrorists. And if this law says that terrorists should be executed and all Palestinians are regarded by them as terrorists, that means, in other words, logically speaking, that all Palestinians should be executed. We have to say something very clear. That's not a death penalty law. That's a genocide law.
So you have an Israeli politician very clearly exposing how this law will be used as a justification to exterminate Palestinians, and yet most American politicians are still arguing with a straight face that it's wrong to cut off this regime, even though they're now going further than South Africa went during apartheid. And Mustafa Barghouti of the Palestinian National Initiative spelled this out very clearly on CNN for an American audience that desperately needs to understand what's happening.
The death penalty law is another sign of how far Israel is going in the direction of creating a terrible apartheid system, a much worse apartheid than what prevailed.
Corelio, welcome. Israel's a terrorist state. All IDF are terrorists. Yep. It's ironic how the Nazi tendencies lived on or were reborn through Israel, which kind of makes sense since it's smothered in anti-Semitism. In my opinion, Zionism is anti-Semitic too. Yep. It was in the Austria-Hungary Empire.
In South Africa at one point of time. Even the apartheid horrible regime at the time in South Africa did not dare to say that if a black man kills a white man, he will be taken to, he will be executed. But if a white man kills a black man, he will not be. What Israel did is exactly that, saying that a Palestinian could be sentenced to death penalty, but an Israeli no, for the same crime.
Yeah, but as Israel enshrines hyper-apartheid into law and Jim Crow 2.0 into law, the same politicians who support that have the audacity to accuse AOC of being the immoral one. It's just so goddamn unserious. But this is why
Yep, and I do mean all, as in current and former IDF. Yep.
there's this effort to try to prey upon people who care about social justice issues and tie Zionism to Judaism, and why, anti-Zionism is more important than ever, because defenders of Israel, they've tried to tie Zionism to Judaism, even though Zionism is a relatively new ideology, whereas Judaism has existed for thousands of years. But the trick, you see, is to make people think that criticism of Zionism and Israel are synonymous with anti-Semitism, because the people who are often opposed to settler colonialism, leftists, are more likely to be opposed to bigotry, broadly speaking. But that conflation is not just cynical, it's deeply problematic, and Israeli scholar Avi Shlaim explains why Zionism and Judaism obviously are not the same thing.
Zionism is racism. Israel cannot be both. Israel is either a racist Jewish state, or it's a democratic state for everybody. And that's what I would like Israel to be. I'd like a democratic solution, one state with equal rights for all its inhabitants. Apartheid is racism. Apartheid is discrimination. But Israel is the only member of the United Nations that I know which is officially racist. And I say this because of the July 2018 nation-state law, which says the Jews have a unique right to self-determination in Israel. Unique means exclusive.
Yes.
It means Arabs have no right to self-determination. It means even if Arabs became a majority, they would still have no right to self-determination. So most certainly Zionism is a is a racist idea.
Insane. That is unhinged. How World is gonna have balls again. Nintendo's patent on it got revoked. Nice. Unique, my ass. It's anti-Semitic too. Why did they want a place for all Judaic people to go, and why did it have to be? Did it have to have the blessings from Christians? Yep.
And it is largely responsible for the Nakba that has unfolded throughout the last century and
pretty words doesn't make it better.
Today.
So make no mistake about it, the Israel defenders who are trying to inextricably link Zionism to Judaism, they are slandering an entire group of people. They're basically saying that all Jewish people are racist, which is immoral and dangerous, because if criticisms of a racist ideology like Zionism and an apartheid government are tantamount to anti-Semitism, you're inadvertently ascribing culpability to all Jewish people around the world who are not responsible for the crimes of the Israeli government.
Not inadvertently. It's on purpose, right? Not inadvertently. It's on purpose. They need that shield. Or they need people to kind of link those two, right? Yeah, it's not inadvertent.
That's not just immoral, it's fucking dangerous because it fuels anti-Semitism. But, put aside that for a moment. Another thing that we've been told that is that Israel's war crimes are happening because Hamas did October 7th, and that's why Israel has to wipe out all Palestinians, even though, Israel has committed the equivalent of 60 plus October 7th in Gaza. It doesn't matter. That justifies everything that Israel chooses to do because Hamas. But they never grapple with the reality that there's no Hamas in the West Bank, yet Palestinians in the West Bank haven't been spared from Israel's wrath, even though they don't have a Hamas. They not only bulldoze the homes of Palestinians in the West Bank, they give Israeli terrorists the green light to enact pogroms against the Palestinian people. And we're not just talking about isolated incidents here, because more than 37,000 Palestinians in the West Bank have been displaced since 2025. And this effort in the West Bank has ramped up during their genocide in Gaza because that gave them cover. Everybody was focused on that and not paying as close attention to what they were doing in the West Bank. And now the Iran war is giving them cover to ethnically cleanse southern Lebanon as well. Israel just announced plans to destroy all homes in villages in southern Lebanon, and they've displaced 1.2 million people and counting, and they're expanding their border up to the Litani River. And the reason why it's being described as an ethnic cleansing is because, as the New York Times put it, they're telling Christian and Druze leaders in southern Lebanon to specifically expel Shiite Muslims. Quote, in private calls to local leaders across southern Lebanon, Israeli military officials have assured several Christian and Druze communities that they could remain in the evacuation zone. They have pressed them, however, to force out any Lebanese from neighboring Shiite Muslim communities who have sought refuge among them, as Israeli bombardments flatten Shiite towns, according to local Christian, Druze, and Shiite leaders who spoke to the New York Times. The Shiites make up the majority of southern Lebanon. So this is what we're contending with here. We are looking at a textbook ethnic cleansing, not to mention an indiscriminate bombing campaign of Beirut, which is a city of more than 2 million people. And just to put things into perspective, the population of Beirut is more than three times larger, actually, than Portland, Oregon, which is my city. And if a single bomb went off in Portland, I couldn't imagine how the city would recover from that. It would be disastrous. There's so many people. It feels so densely populated. But in Beirut, it's a common occurrence. Like, look at some of the footage here from Beirut that was shared by a Lebanese commentator.
Doesn't the Israelis also consider Judaism a race? That's Bernie's argument. He deserved total criticism for that. He's dead wrong on that. What has Israel done over the last 50 years? 78 years. Well, I think we can see.
Israel just bombed an apartment building, just straight up in broad daylight. They bombed a fucking residential building. And even though this war crime in particular was captured on video, it happens so much more frequently than people realize. Other apartment buildings and homes are being bombed, villages are being bulldozed, and we're not even seeing that and hearing about it oftentimes. They're also bombing medical facilities in Lebanon and committing war crimes with impunity on a daily basis in Lebanon. And this tweet from my buddy Anthony, who is a Lebanese streamer, it broke me because he says, impossible to remain positive in Lebanon. Everything about this, quote, war is so bleak. The constant barrage of bad news is a lot, and the world doesn't give a fuck, so it feels like screaming into the void as Israel steals our land and kills our people. But Israel is doing this in Lebanon because everybody else is preoccupied with Iran, understandably so. But the amount of pain and suffering caused by this racist, terrorist regime isn't just limited to Palestinians and Iranians. Their neighbors in Lebanon are also under attack as well, and we need to make sure that their plight isn't being forgotten, because if my city was being bombed with impunity and nobody in the international community seemed to care, I genuinely don't know how I would grapple with that. It would be nightmarish. But people are very understandably distracted by Iran because of what the U.S. and Israel are doing. It is genuinely unspeakable. Like, the rules of engagement simply do not exist anymore. We've reverted back to barbarism, and we're just carpet bombing Tehran, which is a city of 10 million people. And there's truly no limits to the depravity. As CNN Sana Noor Haq reports, U.S. and Israeli forces bombed a fucking orphanage. I'm going to repeat that. They bombed an orphanage, and they're destroying residential buildings with impunity, of course, because they don't care about who they harm. Like this woman's home, you can tell that her home was probably beautiful based on what's left, but now all she has is rubble and memories because her country was invaded by foreign terrorists who don't give a fuck about what they do and what harm they cause. Like, even if the bombing stops right now, the fact that an entire city was poisoned, a city of 10 million people, poisoned because Israel bombed their oil facilities, which led to black rain.
It's gonna be like generations, man. This isn't just gonna like, if we stop to right now, it's not just gonna like, turn the page and everything's just gonna be fine. Like, these people are, these people have been destroyed. Well, these areas have been destroyed for decades, probably. I don't know. I don't foresee them recovering for a while. And we did that. Our tax dollars paid for the bombs that not just we bombed, that we did, but the Israeli bombs as well. It is sad.
There are no words to describe the barbarity and cruelty of the Americans and the Israelis. So if you're an American concerned about higher gas prices, I'm sure that woman would happily trade places with you. But our government and society, more broadly speaking, they simply just do not view Arabs and Persians or any Muslims, be it Shia or Sunni, as equal human beings. We've been conditioned to feel indifferent to their suffering because that's reinforced through cable news and pop culture, movies and TV. And politicians, they just talk so flippantly about nuking Gaza and killing Arabs. And when they say shit like that, it's barely a headline. Like, we have been conditioned to pretend as if these folks in this region are not equal human beings. But even if you reject their culture of dehumanization and you do view them as equal human beings, you're still being told on a daily basis that their suffering is somehow justified because of who their government is. Like, that would never apply to us. We have a terrible fascist government in Donald Trump's regime, but nobody would say that Americans deserve to be bombed or murdered or displaced because of it. But when it comes to people in the Middle East, well, they deserve what they get because of who their government is. And this is a bit off topic, but just listen.
That's also like insanely unhinged. To say that, like, well, whatever. We just had to bomb these people because I don't know, like, their government is a terrorist state. Their government is making nuclear weapons. Their government, like, none of this makes any sense. None of this makes any sense, and it's unhinged to say that, like, that woman deserved it because she was just, I don't know, living there, I guess. Israel's not real. F Israel. I mean, like, I would say, maybe this is just like semantics, but I would say Israel is illegitimate. Because clearly it's very real. Unless I'm just like misreading that. The global community owes these countries reparations for allowing this to happen over and over and over and doing nothing. Yep, I agree. I agree. They have free college, they can pay for the bombs. Yep. Why does Israel even need weapons? Aid, they're a rich country, supposedly, right? Israel kills kids and women. Yep.
Listen to what Marco Rubio said about Iran, because what he said here nearly made my fucking head explode.
Imagine an Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran. You'd have a much different country.
I mean, he either has the least amount of self-awareness of any human being to have ever existed, or he's just fucking trolling us. Because the same exact thing can obviously be said for the United States. Yeah, imagine if instead of spending billions of...
Yeah, I got something for that after this. It's as legitimate as the U.S. for the borders that Britain drew now that it calls the Middle East. Yep.
Dollars on weapons for Israeli terrorism, the United States helped its own people. I mean, Israel has universal health care. It's free at the point of service, whereas we don't. Tens of thousands of Americans die every single year due to a lack of health care. Meanwhile, Republicans want to cut health spending by another $2 billion so they can have more money for terrorism in Iran. It's just a sick and twisted joke, and I feel like I'm probably a little bit early with this take, so I think it's a hot take, but I'm going to give it to you either way because I sincerely believe that these two terrorists are going to be remembered as the modern-day equivalent of these two terrorists. Trump even has his own Gestapo putting immigrants in concentration camps while he pursues global conquest. But at the same time, Netanyahu also has concentration camps that are seemingly going to turn into death camps given the new law. So, I'll let you decide who's Hitler and who's Mussolini. But my broader point is that all of this has to be rejected. And we need at least one fucking party in this country to stand up and say, enough is enough. So that is why I'm pleased to see AOC get on board with a full weapons embargo, because anything short of a full embargo is just not sufficient, because any support to Israel, including defensive weapons, is just a tacit endorsement of all of their heinous conduct in the region.
Yeah. So on that note, U.S. pays for their healthcare. It's much cheaper when it's not a system like the U.S. Yeah. On that note, we've got news on that front. Sorry, folks, if you thought no. Man, I can't imagine. Like, what are the MAGA people thinking about this? Trump says it's not possible for the U.S. to pay for Medicaid, Medicare, and daycare. We're fighting wars. Get it? You plebs. President Trump on yesterday said it's not possible for the federal government to fund Medicare, Medicaid, and childcare costs because, we've got wars to fight. The president's remarks were delivered to attendees to a private Easter luncheon at the White House, where Trump also accused Democratic-led states of fraud. The fraudster himself, right? The embargo of South Africa is what effectively ended the apartheid regime. He went on to say, Medicare, it's a federal program, not a state program. I mean, it doesn't, sure. Donald Trump says, we don't have money for that. Apparently. He went on to say, they told the Office of Management and Budget Director, Russell Vaughn, don't send any money for daycare because the United States can't take care of daycare. It has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You gotta let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. This is insane. This is unhinged, but it also kind of peels back the facade here. Okay, it kind of peels back the facade. Okay, any Republican, any conservative telling you about like, we would never cut Medicare. Of course, we believe in whatever. This is all bullshit, okay? They want you to suffer, okay? They want to take everything away and give it to the oligarch Epstein class, okay? That's what they want to do. They want to take everything. They want to take whatever little crumbs that we have and give it to the Epstein oligarch class, okay? They want to take Medicare. They want to take anything, daycare, food, whatever. Food stamps, anything, okay, that they can take, that's what they want to do and shovel it to the Epstein class, okay? And just one question: are you angry yet? Like I'm asking, especially to the clowns who haven't woken up, to the MAGA clowns who haven't woken up. Hello? Yeah, America first. Trump better not F with Medicare. All these people hate you, okay? If you're on Medicare, they hate you, okay? If you need help, okay, from the state for daycare, they hate you. Where is that clown? Where is that clown who got all miffed? Sorry. Where is that clown who got all miffed about me being rude, about the insane position about abortion, and here we are having the president that he probably voted for saying that we just don't have money for daycare. And this dude had the audacity to come into stream and talk about abortion. One second. Gotta be careful with this mic, because this mic's kind of heavy. Sure we do. Just cut the military budget. Yep. But, you know, we got wars to fight, you know what I'm saying? The Epstein class already had all the power, too. This is different. This is hot class warfare. Every dollar in tax they spend, they blame on us, and they don't even notice the difference in their bank. Yep. They want it all. They want it all. Like most trolls, they flee at the first sign of clapback. Yeah, I know. I didn't even... By the way, I didn't even ban that dude. Okay? I didn't even ban them, to be honest. I had my finger on the button, but, yeah, I didn't even have to ban them. It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. Trump said they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. You have to take care of one thing, the military protection. We have to guard the country. Oh, hey, so, real quick. Why are we paying... This microphone is driving me nuts. Why are we paying federal taxes? Why would states send federal taxes to the government if they can't do anything with this money? If he's telling us that maybe the states should just take care of it, then why is any state sending any federal government, any federal taxes? Sorry if you hear a bunch of bumps, folks. I'm trying to secure this thing. Anyways. Protection like the mob, exactly. You're so savage. Yeah, dude, I have no patience for, like... I have zero patience for clown logic like that. It genuinely, like... It genuinely annoys me that people just come in here, and then to have, like, the audacity of saying that I'm the one being rude. Insane. You know, woke, difficult truth loves to play with its microphone like its own toy. Because the state is being protected from Venezuela, Colombia, and etc. by the military. True, yeah. $1.4 trillion annual military budget and still asking Congress for hundreds of billions more. Yep. We've got wars to fight, folks. Like, seriously, why does any state provide any single, like, federal tax dollar if they can't even do, like, healthcare, they can't even do daycare or anything? President Trump was referring to rooting out the billions of dollars. Oh, okay. So here's the famous line, right? If he didn't say it, if he said it, he didn't say it. If he did say it, he didn't mean it. And if he didn't mean it, then, like, I don't know, fake news, right? Is that the logic we're going to? President Trump was referring to rooting out the billions of fraud in these vital programs. Yeah, okay, dude, that's not a thing. And also, rooting out fraud, okay, doesn't mean that you can't fund those programs. Those are two different things. He's saying that we can't do it. He's saying that we can't handle the costs of childcare. He's saying that we can't handle the cost of Medicaid. He's not saying we have to work on fraud. He's not saying that we have to, like, you know, fund things in a different way, whatever. He's saying that we just can't do it. The White House, his record proves that he will always protect and strengthen Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That's bullshit, okay? Bullshit. Flat out lie, okay? The only reason they're trying to put this fire out is because that video leaked. That was a private... that was a private luncheon that he was having when he said those remarks. That wasn't supposed to be posted, and that was immediately taken down, okay? As White House spokesperson Olivia Wales said in a statement, the president proudly signed the historic legislation eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits for nearly all seniors and barring illegal immigrants and other ineligible individuals from fraudulently receiving Medicare and Medicaid. Literally not a thing. The Trump economic agenda will continue to lower costs. It hasn't, making it everyday life more affordable for hardworking American families. Yeah, okay, not a thing. A complete lie. When Trump says he's rooting out fraud, he means finding ways he can embezzle money from the Fed. True. Also, like, exactly, like, how laughable is it that the guy who's been indicted for fraud, like, he's been convicted for fraud, the guy who pardons, fraudsters, like actual convicted fraudsters, right? We're being told that this is the dude that's going to take on fraud. Doge would have been great if it functioned how Zoran is trying to find money for NYC, but it was never meant to actually do that. Oh yeah, no, it was never meant to do that. Never. This does show that Trump speaks the same way privately as he does publicly. Senator Patty Murray D. Washington, Senator from Washington, Representative Catherine Clark, introduced legislation last year that would expand early education access and cap child care costs for families at 7% of their household income. Some Democrats quickly seized on Trump's comments Wednesday, comparing the cost of childcare to the ongoing U.S. military operation in Iran, which topped $11.3 billion in just its first 6 days of the month that we know of. Trump says we can pay for a war in Iran, but it can't afford childcare. Mr. President, the billions you wasted in Iran could pay for $10 a day childcare for every American family, with childcare workers paid $25 an hour. For the cost of 3 weeks of this war, we could provide vision, hearing, and dental coverage for every senior on Medicare for a year. It is possible Trump just doesn't care to do it. Members of the Trump administration, including the president, have for months accused states of receiving federal grants for child care of perpetuating fraud with little evidence. In January, the Department of Health and Human Services froze access to child care and family assistance funds for 5 states led by Democrats: California, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York. I learned yesterday that the Trump Presidential Library is going to be a high-rise building. When asked what he planned to do with it, he said the bottom floor is the library, the rest are hotels and apartments. It's taxpayer funded. Man, you gotta love it, folks. You know, my health rate is over 1,000 pounds when I ever stop eating these damn McDonald's, you know. I need a fish fillet, Melania. Later, in a review by the State Department of Children, Youth, and Families, found that the daycare centers at the heart of the viral attacks were operating normally. Man, this is so frustrating. This is so frustrating. Trump claimed the locations have more daycare centers than they have children. They literally have thousands, so we go and send inspectors out. Out of the 700 they look at, approximately in Minnesota, there was none that was a daycare center. Just making stuff up. Anyways, the point being, is that, I mean, how much in your face can this be? Okay? How much in your face can this be? He's telling you, look, bro, I don't care about you, okay? I don't care about working class people, okay? The only thing I care about is war. Literally, that's literally what he said. We have to take care of one thing: military protection. We have to guard the country. That's it. That's literally all he has to offer. That's it, okay? It's on video. Like, what is it gonna take for the broad majority of people to understand, like, this dude, this government, does not give a flying F about you, okay? This administration doesn't give a flying F about you. It's also interesting that Chuck Schumer's criticism of the war has been notably muted. Yeah, I mean, that tracks. That tracks. All right, folks. I gotta get out of here. I kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but yeah, Pam Bondi has been officially fired. Bye bye. And she will be temporarily replaced by Todd Blanche. So yeah, apparently, from what we understand, this has been about the handling of the Epstein files. Apparently, apparently that's what it is. Trump also felt that Bondi was not moving quickly enough to prosecute critics and adversaries whom he wanted to face criminal charges, according to sources. After mounting frustration with her performance, especially over the release of on the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah. Yeah. On the next season of Apprentice. Why are you laughing? You're fired. So yeah, that happened. That happened earlier today. Good stuff. Yeah, the Dow. Pam Bondi's never gonna be able to go up on TV and talk about the Dow anymore. How is the Dow doing? Yeah. Good stuff. We're doing great. Anyone else tired of winning? I'm tired of winning. How about you? You're laughing the Dow's over 50,000 and you're laughing? Oh, I can't believe this is like the real life, man. I can't believe this is the real world. I genuinely can't believe this is the real world. Anyways. Alright, folks, I gotta get out of here. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you guys hanging out. And thank you for all the new follows and subscribers and all that stuff. Seriously, I see the YouTube subscriber count getting a little bit higher. So I appreciate that. Thank you. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so. If you want to support the channel, one of the best ways of doing so is spreading the word, folks. Spreading the word far and wide that we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday around 5 p.m. Eastern. So spread the word, bring a friend. Thank you all. Ladybug, Michael Hassler, thank you for modding the chat. So like we all know, the real power of a Dem presidency. Thank you, Bella Lugrizi. I appreciate it. If you want to support the channel directly, there are many ways of doing so. Check out all the stuff and all the things. Time for woke, a difficult truth to go bye-bye. Seriously, thank you all for being here. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I'll be on. I hope to see you guys in the next one about Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all. See ya. Oof, not a moment too soon. My head is starting to hurt. Hang tight, folks. Alright, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.